Hi there. No, my name is, what is it? How do I do the intro? Hi there. You're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
And with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Adam, why were you...
40 minutes.
why were you dressed as a
40
Sith
minutes.
just then, Adam? What's going on?
Just to give you a nice screen capture for the start of the episode, George.
Mhm.
You know, gotta give you an interesting image. It is a soft pants kind of day, so I do forgive you for the slip up of the intro.
Mhm.
You have been forgiven, so
Thank
yep,
you.
all
Adam,
good.
Cheers.
Every day is the soft pants day now. Like that's the new reality that we live in.
I have not worn soft pants for the entire pandemic, apart from pajama pants.
What do you want, a medal?
Serious?
I do want a medal. I think I may have done a PB, to be honest.
What's wrong with you? I
What,
mean,
a
I've
jean, a jean soft
occasionally...
pants?
No. Chinos aren't
Uh-huh,
soft
uh-huh.
pants.
Mhm,
Soft
mhm.
pants are soft pants. I've
Right.
occasionally put on hard pants just to feel less like a piece of shit.
Just to
maybe
feel
on like
alive.
a bad day. Yeah, like saying like I've done my hair today for like the first time in probably a month.
You look good?
Like, you know, just to feel a bit. Thank you. You know, just to feel a bit more normal, just sometimes. But oh, mate, what? How have
Well,
you
look,
gone this long? I mean, screw everything we're going to talk about today. I want to get to the bottom of this.
Throw out the rundown. We'll do it live.
Yeah, are you some kind of sorcerer?
I'm a wizard, actually. It's the
Harry.
technical term for it. No, I just don't really own many pairs of track pants, as it were. And
Fair enough.
so, you know, when I go and sit at my desk every day, it helps me feel normal if I'm wearing a pair of jeans or a pair of chinos or something. And that does it for me.
Friend of the show, Jack, is writing in with a Robin Williams in Jumanji, What Year Is It GIF. So,
Excellent.
So
most excellent.
makes-
And says, feels like Adam's channeling Robin. So,
Look, in terms of, and this is partly, you know, where we're getting to is that I have given up hope, and
yep.
the homelessness, the beard is growing. The hair has not been cut. I am now wearing soft pants. Next step to this is to not
Death,
shower or
surely.
shower, you know, for the next several weeks.
Mhm.
But you know, it's a slow journey, but we'll get there in the end.
Look, I think showering is one of the few things that you can still be expected to do while you're stuck at home. I mean, unless your water is cut off.
the shower situation has not changed, but the depression
No.
situation has definitely changed.
Definitely.
Exponentially.
I mean, if we want to describe another GIF, if you want to like go full on Tobias Funke chewing on his own sponge, crying in the shower GIF, then like please, my hat off to you. Go forth. Don't
Feel
let
free.
me yuck your yum.
Oh, yeah.
Don't like that expression?
I do not. You in fact
Problematic.
yucked my yum, as it were.
I don't want to yuck anybody's yum.
Oh god, stop saying it. So today, this week in Melbourne, cases of. So we are a news and politics podcast. I don't know if that came through necessarily in the first couple of minutes.
Certainly not.
Certainly not. But
you-
I mean, it sets the tone really for the quality of our discourse for the episode to come. People can't say we didn't warn them.
Yeah, no, very much so. It's been another fun week in the news of the world as coronavirus cases in Melbourne, in particular, the city in which we reside, have continued to climb at a rate of 2 to sort of 400 and something a day, which is suboptimal. But it's prompted a
Great.
wave of mask wearing. I think did we discuss it on last week's show? Was that around the time?
We talked about that mask wearing. A, people have been doing it. B, people should be doing it. And that C, it would be mandatory as of the middle of this past week.
Yeah, correct. And it has become mandatory. And as you can expect, the sovereign citizens have been out in force and they're not happy about it.
Oh, can I just remind us, it's been 3 days.
Well, what do you mean?
Like, it was Thursday, like midnight Thursday. like 12:01 a.m. this past Thursday.
So starting Thursday
is
morning.
when it was mandatory. Yeah, it was after midnight Thursday. It was after 11:59 p.m. Wednesday night or whatever. So it's been Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Today is day 4.
Is Sunday, yeah.
Of mandatory masks.
And it's
going great.
Chaos reigns.
Like, it hasn't even been a week.
So there's been a lot of clips that have surfaced online this week, a few of which we will discuss, pertaining to people's resistance and reluctance to wear masks. So it has prompted, inspired by the podcast Pod Save America, we will be playing a game called OK Stop, where we will be playing the video clip, and then at any juncture during the clip, I encourage you guys to say OK Stop, and I will stop the clip and we will comment hilariously about it. How does that sound?
Hilarity not guaranteed.
Hilarity not guaranteed. Depression almost certainly. So it's all happening live. So I'm gonna move the Unnatural Selection logo off the screen using the power of technology, and we will stream the video, and hopefully nothing goes wrong. What do you reckon?
What do I reckon? I mean, I hope nothing goes wrong as well, but what do I reckon will happen?
We'll find out. We'll find out together, Tom.
Strap in.
Oh.
A reason for not having it?
I don't have to give you a reason.
Legally, you do.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Alright, do you have any ID?
No, I don't.
No? What's your details?
I'm not prepared to give them to you.
Are we under arrest?
No.
Well, the issue is you are committing an offence.
Yeah, if you don't give us...
No, we're not committing an offence.
You are required by
Okay,
law
stop.
to provide your name.
Which law is that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, you are. Yes, you are committing an offence. I mean, you can't just... Like, I mean, yes, there's a dead guy here, and yes, I'm holding a bloody knife, and yes, he's dead because of knife wounds that I gave him, but I'm not committing an offence. What?
What defines an offence, though, Tom? I mean...
I believe that's a question that comes up later in the video, if I remember correctly.
I won't second guess it. I'll let the video do the explanation then.
Stay tuned.
It's a Commonwealth offence. Okay?
Which one?
It's Commonwealth law.
Can you show me that one? Well, I've had it
No, I don't need to show you. I just informed you.
It's actually not Commonwealth law.
It's
You don't know what...
What I love is, and this is the kind of thing that a few people, the videos online of lots of people doing this, but the way to sort of obfuscate getting arrested is to just like ask for the direct legislation that you're somehow offending.
Yeah, as though we all know subsection B, 4A of the law, if you can't name it off the top of your head, I'm not guilty. And that works for homicide, infanticide, patricide, all the other sides.
And not just tell me, show me. Like,
Show me.
pull out.
Yes, unless you actually have all those books we see in Parliament, like on your person. No, you can't do shit. No, that's the breaks, baby.
Subsection 4B, if you don't have the law on you, you can't apply the law to me. So everyone knows that.
Also known as the no takesies backsies.
All right, we'll continue.
What you're talking about right now.
Okay. Well, either way, you are required to provide your details.
No, I am not. I know what I'm talking about. I would not be arguing with you, sir. I'm telling you the...
Okay, stop. No. Just like, okay, well, it is an offence. And she just goes, no. And it's just like, okay, the end.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, you've
got
understood
me.
the secret of getting away with crime. Damn it.
You got me.
Can you not put this on the internet? We don't want the people to know.
It's funny because
I just imagine
she's
like
the one
5
recording.
officers huddled around and just going, oh, she said no, guys. I don't know what we...
Yeah,
And to
can
be-
you imagine
to be
that
clear-
call
No, I
later?
do.
That's just like, Chief, just hang on. This is no over. Like, yeah, what's the problem? She said no. Please advise as to our next step.
well, he literally does that. I
Can you
think.
repeat that? Did she say no? That is affirmative.
That's an affirmative?
No.
She said no. So...
Well, all right, you got to get out of there. 10-4. You're like, oh well, all right. I guess you get away with it.
I think he literally does check with his sergeant in a second, but like, and I forgot my train of thought. It's gone.
It doesn't
Sorry,
matter.
mate. Click play. It's
So
more
I
to
wouldn't
come.
be. I know about this. I wouldn't be wasting your time if.
Oh,
I
that's
didn't
right.
know.
That was the other part. That was the other part of my train of thought. Saying I wouldn't be arguing with you if I didn't know this for a fact.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize we were dealing with Julian Burnside, QC, master of the law. Sorry.
It's just it's the thing of I've had that kind of logical argument discussion when you're talking about Watchmen or something with sci-fi stuff, right? It's why did Dr. Manhattan do that? It's well, because he's bound in his own time stream. He does it because he's always done it, because he's currently doing it. He's doing it because he can't be doing anything else.
Time is a
the
flat
reason
circle.
it's happening is because he's doing it, and he's doing it because it's happening.
Yes.
That's just how it works. The very fact that it's happening means that it's true. But you can't apply that to I'm arguing with you, officer, therefore I'm right. That's not how this works.
Oh my god. It gets better. It gets so much better / much worse. Okay, here we go.
I don't need to give you anything. Have I committed a crime?
Yes.
It's a criminal matter now for not wearing a mask.
Yes, correct.
You can arrest me
Okay.
on the phone.
Will you?
Okay, so I don't need to say, okay, stop for me. I can just stop it.
Oh.
Okay, it's a criminal matter to wear a mask, as if is an argument that you can have with a police officer. Clearly.
Yeah, just have I committed an offence? And both of them, yes.
Yes, unequivocally.
No, I didn't.
Yes. So the
You can't
idea
just
is
not like the answer.
not wearing a mask in public is not a criminal offence, but it is a criminal offence when a policeman asks for your information not to supply it, right? So if you refuse to supply your information, then you have committed a criminal offence, then you can be detained, which is why all of this would be much easier if A, you just wore a mask in public like you're supposed to, B, if when caught without a mask in public, you just handed your details over and they could issue you with the $200 fine and then move on. And C, I've lost my train of thought. This woman literally
But I
breaks
thought also
brains.
that a big part of it is that not wearing the mask in public is now an offence, because we got I don't know if you're going to play the other video that we looked at this morning, but a different person, I think, starts just spouting about how it can't be a law because it hasn't gone through the process
this is the same
that
lady.
laws normally go. Oh, is it?
Yeah,
I
it's the
know
same
there's
lady.
multiple videos of a different lady. Is it the same?
All of
woman?
these videos are the same lady. There's also a video where she's accosting a person in
Holy
Bunnings,
shit.
also the same lady. This is all the one lady.
And the best
Okay,
part about
wow.
it is she filmed it all herself
She filmed it as... I love that.
and uploaded it.
When you film it, normally, because you're seeing this all from her perspective, right? So it kind of, because we've sort of been we've gotten used to the person who's filming the thing is generally the person who's in the right. It's like them being abused by a police officer or something like that. And you go, the person who's filming must be correct. But she's totally ass backwards wrong about all of this and still has the audacity to film it, put it up on Facebook. It received a bunch of negative attention. She's since taken it down, but it's that's not how the internet works. It's out there now. You can't just take it back.
And it breaks my brain that here in 2020 we are seeing citizen footage that makes the cops look like the good guys.
Since when?
That's
in
not something I imagine I would see this year.
In 2020, where I see a video of cops online, I'm like, oh, what have the cops done
Here
now?
we go.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm on the cop side.
They're
I'd see that
actually
this year.
handling this situation very well. This is what good police behavior looks like.
Let's just watch the rest of the video for a little bit. Let's give it a bit of time before we stop it.
Will you arrest us?
Technically.
You can?
Until we can confirm ID.
Okay. We're not prepared to give you ID.
We're going to have to place you under arrest if you
Okay.
don't give us ID.
Say that again.
We're going to have to place you under arrest if you do not give us ID.
And what's
I love that. Okay, sorry, we'll let it play. This woman.
your name, sir?
My name's Jared.
Thank you.
Right there, and Phil Gibby.
Okay. Can I have your details in writing, please? And I would like your numbers and the place of work.
So,
Place of work, police department.
Yeah, place
What's
to work.
your number? Give me your fucking number, you flatfoot. What's your fucking number? Oh my god. Oh my god.
look at that. I'll just have a chat to my side. Give me one
Thank
second. I'll
you.
explain what's going on
No
here.
worries.
But it is a $200
No worries.
for
Whatever you want to
refusing
do, you do.
Wear a mask.
But I do not consent. So you know that.
Fair enough.
Okay, stop.
You don't
As we all
consent.
know, not consenting means
Doesn't make a difference.
obviously, you can't be fined.
Uh-huh.
If you don't consent to being
Yeah.
arrested, you can't be arrested.
I don't
Yeah, you see, all
consent
those
to being
people we
ruled
read
by
about-
laws about murder. I don't consent to
Yeah,
you arresting.
obviously-
Where are you taking me? Oh my god, what's happening?
Yeah, you see all those other stories we talked about, like the $26,000 worth of fines for the massive KFC party. You see, all those people consented to getting those fines.
Uh-huh. That's
Like,
how it works.
they were all like, "Oh yeah, what? You want to give me a $1,600 fine, mate? Go for
Love
it.
it. Can't wait.
Yes, clear yes for the fine, please." And like 20 people did that.
Consent, and if you do arrest us, we will be suing you for armed kidnapping.
Fair enough. The offence of today is because you are not wearing your mask in a public place.
Yeah.
Which came into effect from midnight last night.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you've
not a
committed an
law.
offence?
It is just a ruling.
Because you've committed an offence.
Yeah.
It is
Is a law.
It is a law.
It is a law.
Except it is a law.
It is a law. That's the thing. Like, because yeah, as we were saying before, like this woman. So yeah, I didn't realize these were all the same person. She spouts later to some other police officers about laws having to be like
Human Rights
debated in
Convention.
Parliament, like
It needs
presented
to be
to
presented
Parliament.
3 times, and then it needs to go to a
The
referendum.
Queen,
And then the
yeah,
Queen
and, like,
needs
all
to
that sort
sign
of
off
stuff.
on it for it to really be a law. So this is a bullshit law,
Yeah.
which doesn't count.
And like, so that is like, as a process for laws being made. All right, yeah, sure. But there's also other laws that can influence that process. Because law isn't just a simple thing you can Google and go, ha, with your phone at, right? That's why there's people who spend their entire lives training on it. And there's a thing called like a state of emergency where they can just enact laws. That process, which is literally what they've done.
There's this bit.
Turns out states of emergency give governments all kinds of crazy powers, which
Yeah.
And that's a
for better
whole
or for
other
worse.
discussion. Yeah, that's a whole other issue.
Which is
But
like
it
a
means
completely
you ca-
fair discussion for a sane person to have. To be like, hey, does this state of emergency, like, does it actually warrant the police being able to have all of these extra powers? Is it justified? Like, that is a discussion that, like, Waleed Ali could have. But, like, not this lady. Like, a like, well-intentioned, good faith public intellectual? Maybe. Not some fucking lady in Narry Warren that's a sovereign citizen, I guess. Anyway, we'll keep going with it.
You are required by law
Yeah.
to provide your details.
No. No, I haven't committed an offence. Which offence is that?
Not wearing a mask in a public place. Which is a
That's-
$200.
It came out just a few hours ago.
Which is a $200. Well, the offence started
Can you
midnight last
prove
night.
that? Because the onus is on you to prove that it's actually an offence. We can't
The
just
onus
go
is on
around
us
knowing
to
every
enforce
law.
it.
No, the onus is not on the police to prove that it's a law. That's not what the job of the police is. It's like the onus is on us to enforce the law. That's why we're here, telling you either to put on a mask or cop a fine for not wearing a mask. That is our job.
Or be arrested until you tell us who you are.
One
All
thing
of which
I
is
will,
within their jurisdiction.
one thing I will say about the there's 2 individuals that are sort of off camera that are being obviously questioned by the police.
Yes. Yeah.
Look, great improv. Just really good improv. Yes, and let's just keep the the game going, and they definitely it definitely works to a point in the sense that in Australia at least, cops will engage with you to discuss this. Whereas if it
what's
was like
crazy to
any
me.
other country, they'd be like, well, we're just going to throw you over the hood of a car and put you in handcuffs.
I love that later on the sergeant comes out and he's talking to her and it's like a whole thing where it's like a civics lesson that we're all having in the car park of a Bunnings Narry Warren. But this is not if you try being a person of color in the United States and try to pull this shit, you'd be like, no, I don't think so. And they're like, bam, get down on the ground, motherfucker! That's the end of it. Is they bounce your head off the fucking hood of a car and you're in the fucking popo ban. That would be the end of it.
Huge, it's a huge flex of privilege by these people because, even and not just in the US. Imagine being a person of color here and doing that.
Yes.
Right? They would not you would not get this kind of reception, and you are like just abusing this position just to fucking just ramble on about not willing to be covering your face. Like, I was discussing this with my partner this morning. Like, this is not what oppression looks like. I'm sorry, lady. Like, just no.
Meanwhile, she's probably listens to Jackie Lambie in the Senate talk about national services. So I guess a good fucking idea. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Offence. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it is an offence.
Okay.
That is enough.
So you don't make any
That is
exceptions
enough.
then?
Pardon?
You don't make any exceptions.
No, we
So
do.
if I make
We
a
use
law just
discretion.
12
We use
hours
discretion.
ago-
No, we use discretion.
No.
But your attitude has been horrible, and you guys are
It's
committing an offence.
horrible.
Yes.
I've been telling you what it is. I haven't been horrible. I haven't sworn at you. I haven't been nasty.
Okay.
I'm-
And I've
This woman has been nasty. She's being a total fucking bitch this entire time. Like, it's just like, oh really? Like that sort of like cunty attitude that there's like the tinge of everything that surrounds this. It's just like, I've been a fucking delight to hang out with for 45 minutes in the parking lot.
Medical concerns as to why you can't use a mask, then that's fine. But that's not what you provided us with today.
yeah.
Okay.
So you've had no
Right.
reason to not wear a mask in a
Right.
public place.
What about not knowing about it?
No.
Well, you haven't stated that at all. You said you
Well,
guys
you
have
said it came out last night.
All right.
Yes.
There's no exception to that. It's an irrebuttable fact. Is that no one
Okay.
is presumed to
You're
know.
going to have to wait until I get my lawyer.
Okay.
Alright.
If you want to speak to your lawyer, that's fine.
Okay, so we're going to pause this at the moment. Thank you.
Okay.
God, I would love to hear how that call goes.
Yeah, good for me.
Have you got my details on that one? Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got your details.
Okay.
Now,
So yeah, because you have committed an offence today and you are required by law to state your name and address, and you are refusing to provide your details, you are under arrest for that until we can confirm ID.
okay, so how are you going to confirm ID?
Well, there's several ways. We can take you back to the police station. We can make inquiries
How would
there.
you take us back there?
Sorry?
How would you take us back
We'll just
there?
come up for a unit, get a divisional van coming out here.
I could drive there.
No, because you're under arrest.
Did you hear that? I could drive there.
Oh
like-
yeah. Yeah, guys, I'll follow you.
Yeah, we'll just drive
Yeah.
No,
No,
I
just- I'll
understand that I
follow
just
you.
got caught
Yeah.
robbing this pokies. I'll follow you, or will you follow me?
Yeah,
back to the
yeah. All right, yeah. You guys, you go first. I'll follow you. Yeah. Just like you just give me a minute to get to my car, and so you come out, and I'll be behind. I'll follow you.
Just text us the address,
It'll be
and I'll meet
sweet.
you there.
Yeah, is it hard?
That broke me. And then he's just like, no,
And the
you're
guy's
under arrest.
eyes,
You're under arrest.
You can only see so much of his face because of the mask that's covering it. But even this guy with like infinite patience, his eyes are just screaming like, "Are you fucking serious, bro? Like, you can't just follow us to the cop shop because you're under arrest. Do you understand how this works? Your permission is not required because you're under arrest." Oh my god.
Oh, we're under arrest.
We're under
You're
arrest.
under arrest from the
Now,
minute that I inform you that you're under arrest.
sorry.
You're under arrest from the minute that I inform you that you're under arrest, which I did that several minutes ago
So we are under arrest.
to confirm ID. Yes.
Really?
Really? How?
So is that for failing
Okay.
to confirm the ID, not for not wearing the mask?
The initial offence, because you committed an offence today, you are required by law to state your name and address. So
Okay.
we'll confirm ID.
So we
'cause
do
you have
not
refused to do
consent
that.
to be taken.
Okay.
We do not consent to be taken anywhere.
So I don't consent. So those magic words, I say the magic words, and I get to, and then this doesn't happen anymore. And I show
Yeah.
the government. That's how it works.
Yeah. Damn, it's a miracle that people don't use that more often.
I know.
If you're saying that we're under arrest, can you tell me exactly for what reason again?
Yeah. So because you have committed an offence today, which the offence is not wearing a mask in a public place,
Yeah.
you are required by law to state your name and address so that we can confirm ID. You have refused to state that. Because
But that's not a law. I don't have to give you my details. I'm just a citizen walking around, and at this point, your job is to make sure that we are safe. And I can see you're carrying guns, both of you.
Yes.
So you are now, I'm fearing for my life.
Okay.
They're cops! They're supposed to carry guns!
Okay, I think George, I was gonna say, George, you just yelled so hard. I don't think the mic picked it up. It just gave up.
You're
What
a
did you
cop.
just
They're the cops. Th're supposed to carry guns. This is their job. This is their
It was
job.
like they have them.
Well, just
Like, they
keep
have, like-
going because I think she follows
It's
this sentence
almost
up
done.
with some interesting claims.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a divisional van to come out here and we'll transport you back to the police station. We'll check your photos on the system and see if that recognises anything until we can confirm ID. Okay?
Right.
Do you have any questions?
I do not consent to that, and I will be suing you personally
Yep.
and you personally, not your department. They'll hear about it, but you will both be personally sued for $60,000 each.
Okay.
And he will be suing you for $60,000 each. Do you want to continue?
Yes, yes.
You want to?
Do you want it so?
That.
Behind door number 1, you let me go out of here and I have my rights like a good sovereign citizen. Door number 2, you get sued out of existence. Would you like to continue with my arrest, sir?
I love the confidence in that of just the yes. Like, you know, it wasn't even like a looking at
Unequivocal
each
yes.
other. Like, it was just like, yep, oh, yes. Like,
Yeah.
Because one, as you said before, George, it's their job.
That's my
but
job.
two,
I have to.
because they know it's horse shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, good luck with that. So yes, we will continue to arrest you as we've been trying to do for the past 10 solid minutes.
Well, technically, during
way,
this,
you
they
can't
are actually
sue-
under arrest.
You can't
Under
sue
arrest, yeah, from the
individual
moment they
police
say it,
officers.
yeah.
You can't sue individual police officers for just doing their job. Like, if there was, like, some police misconduct, maybe, I don't know. But, like, you can't just go,
Well,
you
that'd be the
officer,
argument, but-
you officer shitbag, I'm going to sue you specifically. It's like, well, I don't
Well-
think that's how that works.
According to her earlier statement, that she's been kidnapped.
Mm-hmm.
Armed
Armed
kidnapping.
Armed kidnapping.
Is what arresting someone is.
Under habeas
Apparently.
corpus.
It's just
continue? Right. Let's go.
Right, let's go.
Right.
Can't wait.
Give me a second.
What a great let's go.
So that's the end of that video.
Are consenting to being arrested now.
That's what I heard.
Like it does it. That's the thing. It throwing the I don't consent to being arrested or like I don't blah 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 just doesn't make any sense, because if it was even just on a basic, as you said before, like a civics lesson or whatever, just a basic on the talking about the ethics and concepts of laws and policing and society and like, things like that. Her saying you're here to be keeping us safe, etc., etc. How do you even believe that the legal system, in and of itself, functions if it just without consent it doesn't apply?
This is the sovereign citizen bullshit. This is, and the thing is, it's like, it's not just that these people have these dog shit dumb beliefs, but it's actually they're represented in Parliament. Like, Malcolm Roberts was a sovereign citizen.
Yeah.
There is a subset of people that
to be clear,
seriously actually believe that the law does not apply to them because they have not consented to it directly personally. As though you could
to
run
be
a
clear, we
society
don't
like
we
that.
don't know that this chick is a sovereign citizen or identifies as someone,
Sure.
but she's using the same
but it
methodology.
sounds
rhetoric.
very sovereign citizen.
It's the
She's
same
like,
rhetoric,
I
yeah.
don't consent. Like, I'm just a human citizen. I'm just a woman. Like, so your law doesn't apply to me, I guess. Anyway,
Yeah.
We've got some more. Do we want some more?
Well, there's a lot of stuff in here.
We'll blow through it faster, I promise.
So, if you look here, the Victorian Supreme Court ruling on the 25th of November 2011 clearly states, Judge Kay says that you guys have
No.
He arrested me for breaking a
Breaking a
Only
direct
reason
Geneva
that I've been
Convention.
lawfully
Habeas corpus.
arrested is if I have committed an indictable crime.
Hello.
which I have not.
Hello, I'm the sergeant here.
That's lovely. I'm talking to him.
yeah,
He's
okay.
he's actually managed to
I-
de-escalate this.
I understand that. I'm just going to explain the situation to you as it stands, okay?
Go
so,
for it.
There's 2 powers of arrest in Victoria. One of them is Section 458 of the Crimes Act. Okay?
Right.
So that section provides a power of arrest for any offence under certain circumstances. No, let me
Sorry.
finish. I'm
Part of my medical
I know, and that's okay. And I just need you to understand. So, what that says is that if a person commits any offence, if they find them committing that offence, okay?
What is an offence? Please define to me what an offence is.
It's a breach.
What is an offence? And we're literally arguing about what the definition of is. Like, this is the level that it's like we're having a civics lesson in the middle of the parking lot for some reason.
But
like,
to be fair, like it is, her tactics are actually working to a certain degree because it's elongating the process. If the cops were busy or didn't have the extra resources, they could just easily go, it's too hard, it's not worth it, and then just move on.
Yeah,
But-
it's the thing of it's similar to like the straw man sort of tactic of like hit them with either something that they have to dispute what I'm about to say, or hit them with something that like just completely de-escalate. So if you say like, well, what's the definition of an offense? Then they're going to be like, we're not here to talk about the definition of an offense, and then you've started that conversation. You start them on something else to go along that they can't either they can't ignore or they can't win.
There's something like actually quite sinister about it because you're using like these are techniques that like cults use essentially. Like, I'm putting the cognitive load on you to try and come up. Like, now it's your job to justify why some random cherry-picked thing is happening, or what's the definition of this, or what's the definition of that, and you put the other person on the back foot, so the cognitive load is on them. So if you can't justify the exact wording of what an offense is, like, therefore I didn't commit an offense, it's this weird, like, circuitous,
It's kind of like
Mobius strip
The
of
Mentalist,
reasoning, where they're literally like, there's something sinister about the way she's twisting their words to try and avoid responsibility for the thing for which she clearly has responsibility. Like,
I've had that. Like, I've had situations sort of like this, like that kind of tactic, and the sort of the sinister aspect of it, like in discussions with people about, like, you know, things like climate change and all that sort of stuff, where you mention like, oh, well, yeah, but like this, like the science has shown X, Y, Z, and they'll be like, how? Explain how the science works. And I'm like, I'm not a scientist. Like, I've read like news articles and all that sort of stuff, which has like disseminated the information that the scientists have provided in a more accessible kind of way. But they're like, no, what was the study? What's the study?
What's it called?
Like, what's it called? I'm like, I don't have it on me and I can't explain. And then suddenly, the mental load is on me to explain climate science. I'm like, no. It's a if you really want to know what the study is, Google it in your own time.
Everyone knows the meme, the change my mind meme, right? That guy's obviously got a pretty big YouTube channel, and that's literally his shtick. That's what he does. He gets hundreds of thousands of views from that channel by doing exactly that at random colleges.
I didn't know that's what that was from.
But it's a bad faith tactic. You're not engaging someone in a debate for which they have prepared, for which they have information and citations. You are doing is undermining the idea of the actual ability to obtain knowledge. That's what you're doing. It is literally the tactic that conspiracy theorists use to undermine the idea of facts, undermine the idea of expertise. And it's because the logic is circuitous. There's no winning this argument with this person. There's no way of talking them around and reasoning with this person, because anything that you say has spiderwebs off into 10 different, 20 different questions that they could then mine your knowledge 2-3 layers deep on that thing. And you obviously at some point will not have an answer for them, which therefore proves something.
In this case here,
the intellectual have won.
Yeah.
In this case here, it would be the result that she'd probably be going for is that the police would get frustrated and back off and give up, basically.
Or more likely, they'll throw you in the back of a divvy van and yell, "Stop resisting," when you resist. That's what ended up happening.
This point here, this video it's after the initial one. I'm assuming after the divisional van's been called, because there's now several more police officers. I'm assuming she's been placed under arrest and now at least served with the fine.
This is the same person as the first one. I know.
Yeah.
I believe this is the same person as the Bunnings clip
It's the
that's
same.
going
It's
around.
the same location, and the camera does sort of pass over her before. So yeah, I'm pretty confident it's the same one. I recognize some of the officers and the setting that it's in as well.
Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
It's so hard when they're all in face masks, right? To tell
Yeah.
that they're the same police officers.
Yeah, so it's my understanding that we've played them in order. So that was the first one, this is the second one, and the 1 minute clip that I showed you guys outside of the show of her getting arrested. There's not much point playing it on the show because the audio is kind of nothing.
It's very visual.
But she is basically just resisting arrest, and he goes, "Stop resisting," and she goes, "I'm not resisting," while resisting.
Yeah.
Psychotic. And what you said before, Tom, really rings true. This is just if you don't believe white privilege is a thing, watch all of these videos, because the privilege of someone to not just talk back to the police and be rude and shitty and nasty
and confident that you won't get,
and confident that you're not just going to get fucking smacked in the face, that you're not just going to get thrown on the ground and arrested, which is what would happen if it was Western Sydney and not the outer southeast suburbs of Melbourne. It really shows that there is a difference in how people feel entitled to treat the police, and obviously what that means for how the police treat them on a regular basis. I could never imagine speaking to authority figures with such disdain and expect to get treated well, and then they fulfill the cycle by actually being patient and calm with her and treating her well, and they get the sergeant out, and we're having a civics lesson in the middle of the parking lot. It's no, if it were anyone else, if you robbed a liquor store and you're some young brown kid, you get thrown in the back of a van, your head bashed in. There is a real two different systems of justice that we are actually seeing meted out in suburbia versus the inner cities.
But it does make for compelling viewing, shall we say?
I won't complain about it. It's given us a fuckload of content.
So it's contravention
So
of
I'm
legislation.
gonna, sorry.
That's
This
right.
is
That's right.
actually
That's right.
on whole gesture of this one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
so
let me
Sorry.
let me explain. Let me explain. Okay. So the law in Victoria is where there is an emergency declaration, and that's what's in place. The chief health officer can make. Well, this is what we're operating at. Okay. The chief health officer can make directions.
I just find it interesting that act was passed last year and it came into effect on the 18th of July.
That's
and
not for me.
expires on the 5th of November.
That's not for me to argue. Okay.
She's talking about when the act was put into. I find it suspicious that it was put in place. So, but basically, what I got from that is she's saying that.
And the emergency state of emergency act.
And this is the thing: is when these conspiracy theory minded people will just throw stuff out there like it's true. I find it curious that it came in on the 23rd of July, and it's you don't have the cognitive load to fact check and dispute every one of these things. And that's probably horseshit. But who's got the time and the resources to check up on that shit in real time? You know what I mean?
Well, which is why the sergeant had a great answer in that sense of saying I'm not we're not here to discuss that. He's cool, that's a thing you've said, but it does not bear any relevance on what we're doing right now.
But also, there's some sort of conspiracy theory sort of embedded in that information that she's just thrown out there. I find it funny that came in on the 23rd of July and it's set to expire on the 24th of November. And it's
she's a little bit wrong.
Is she saying that it was planned? Is that the implication then?
Yeah, that's the implication. She's saying that it's a government conspiracy.
That the pandemic was planned and it's a government conspiracy. That's what I got from that.
Well, it's all 5G, George. Remember, it's 5G.
To be clear though, this particular so the state of emergency, this particular state of emergency that we're operating under was declared using powers under the Public Health and Wellbeing Act 2008. So it's I don't know where she's pulling those stats from. She may have just made them up, but
just like the $60,000 number, just real specific. So she must be correct, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, say sound like you know what you're talking about, and it sounds pretty convincing.
I'm trying to explain to you so you understand what's happening. Right? So they can put certain conditions in place for people. Okay. If people don't comply with those conditions, it is an offence. It's a contravention.
It's not a crime.
It's a contravention.
It's not a crime.
No, just let me speak. It's a contravention of that legislation. So that is an offence under Section 458, as a member, where any person finds someone committing an offence. So they believe, on reasonable ground, that you've committed an offence against that act. You are then required by law to provide your name and address. Okay?
Okay, yep, keep going.
If you don't provide your name and address, that power now kicks in to arrest you to ensure your appearance at court.
The only issue that I have with everything that you've stated, well, there's two issues. So, for it to become an act of legislation, right, it has to present it to Parliament 3 times. It has to go to a referendum to the people, such as myself, and we have to decide whether or not we're going to consent to that legislation or that act.
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion
Please
of the
let me
law.
finish.
That's not necessarily how it works in Victoria.
I let
Okay?
you finish.
Yep.
So, you're talking about legislation that hasn't been presented to Parliament 3 times. We the people haven't given our consent to act under it and have it enforced over us. And it has not been consented by the Queen. So that legislation...
And it hasn't been signed off by the Queen.
That legislation is...
They're all okay stuff. So those things that she's talking about are all key. This is why I was sort of assuming that maybe she is part of the sovereign citizen thing. She hasn't necessarily identified as that, but those things that she has listed
If it walks like a duck and
arguments
talks
that
like
are
a duck.
used by sovereign citizens in
Yeah.
a number of ways, but also they're also used. It's also a known tactic on the internet of avoiding arrest, and it has been. There are videos of people actually getting off from like traffic stops and stuff by doing this. And I think we covered this probably a couple of years ago, where I think in Queensland a driver was pulled over, and he literally cited those reasons. Oh well, hasn't been signed off by the Queen. So and then the cop was like, oh yeah, maybe he's right, just sort of let him go.
Well, yeah, as you said sort of before, that the tactic here is to like just mentally drain them to the point where they, hopefully they feel like you're no longer worth it.
Confuse, confound, delay. That's the whole thing. Is just this is the whole conspiracy thing in a nutshell. I don't need to prove that global warming doesn't exist. All I need to prove is that there's doubt. And if I can cloud the issue enough, personally, to make it seem as though you're not 100% in possession of every single fact that exists out there, then therefore you're incorrect and I'm correct. That's all they need to do, is they need to sow doubt. And that's exactly what she's been doing. To the extent that they've got 10 cops out there for this one lady, wasting time and resources of the police department. All you had to do to avoid all of this was wear a mask. And we wouldn't have to have the conversation. It's the easiest thing
Or
in the
even
world.
just provide your ID.
Or just, provide your ID. That's it. That's the end of it.
Cop the fine.
Well, then dispute the fine later if you're so desperate to have your day in court.
No,
by
because
the sounds of it.
It wasn't about having a day in court, because she's also on camera having a go at Bunnings employees as well. She came out that day, I'm convinced, looking for a fight to have on her phone that she could then post to social media. That's what it was. She came out deliberately without a mask, knowing she would get pulled up, knowing she would get refused entry to Bunnings, knowing she would, potentially get a fine, so she could record it on her camera and have a stoush. She was ready to go, talking about the Human Rights Act of 1948. Like, she'd done some power Googling the night before, printing stuff out, connecting red dots, like, what's his name from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like on a chalkboard with red thread. Like, she was ready. She wanted a fight. That's what she came out for. I'm convinced.
I just don't get it, especially like when this is to help everyone. Like, these are the same people that are like fucking furious that there's a lockdown at all.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, the lockdown would be shorter if we put our fucking heads in.
Yeah, if everyone pulled their fucking heads in and did what they were supposed to do, we wouldn't have community spread in the first place, and we would all be going about our normal lives at this point. Like, if we'd done what New Zealand did, where they locked down,
Oh,
everyone
God,
obeyed, you know, the requirements, and they were able to get out of it and go back to some semblance of a normal economy. The longer you fuck around with this stuff, the worse it gets. The longer we're going to have to labor under this awful, you know, state of emergency and all this sort of stuff. Like,
it's probably a good way to segue just quickly in, because we're running out of time. The Alan Jones and Sky News
yes.
Saga. So the part of the reason, perhaps, why people like this feel justified is because there is significant misinformation and perhaps a significant body of opinion which counteracts all government medical advice, which Sky News have been recently spouting like it's, you know, like they've got, you know, evidence and that it is a righteous point of view. And I've seen people on my Facebook feed buying into it. And it stems from, it's a conservative viewpoint that stems from the US primarily, I think. You know, and people sort of conflate it with, you know, stuff like the concept of it's my right not wear a mask, or it's my right, my human rights, all that kind of crap. That's just shit that people in America have made up, and then the Australians that have just sort of bought into it and they've pulled it across. Anyway, we'll play this video of Alan Jones, and you can sort of see where they get the idea from.
That's as you say, there's a whole propaganda apparatus devoted to promoting these horseshit ideas that are not only like incorrect, but like actively dangerous. This is misinformation that people are we're so careful about the stuff that we promote on the show and how we talk about things, and we've come back and done corrections when we've gotten things wrong or had something that was inaccurate. And like Alan Jones is just here on Sky News, public, like a licensed broadcaster, like spouting misinformation, and apparently that's just fine because he's editorializing. Like, I don't know where the fucking standards are anymore, but there you go. Anyway, so here's Alan Jones saying some bullshit.
Well, look, let's get into it. Reluctantly, but importantly, I must comment on this further alarmism in relation to coronavirus.
Must you?
From 11:59 p.m. Wednesday, Victorians will have to wear a face mask. Like the lockdowns, no evidence, not a single slip of paper to justify this make-it-up-as-you-go approach.
Is he saying that there's no evidence to say that masks work? Because that's not
Yes. Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mentioned last week that I have read medical material, which says two things. If you have the infection...
Oh, sorry, I didn't realise he'd read medical material. So, well, sorry,
yeah.
pardon me, Alan.
Well, I believe him.
I believe him.
The mask can help prevent the spread. But equally, quote, often people wear those masks incorrectly. They take them on and off, they touch them, they don't change them after a few hours, or when they get wet, and all of those things make them useless. Unquote. As the Vice President of the AMA said, I think there's a danger that they give a false sense of security, unquote. I've got correspondence I couldn't jump over. Andrews and Berejiklian have succeeded in frightening the tripe out of people. I hate the word scared, but people are scared. The World Health Organization repeats 99% of all cases are mild. But as one viewer has written, the Victorian Health Minister just stated, I quote, we're in for the fight of our lives. Good grief, says my writer. When do these stupid people get a grip on reality? Just quarantine the aged and the sick and let the rest of us get on with our lives.
Does that include Alan Jones?
Alan Jones?
Yeah. I mean, if they want to cart him off to a secure area where he can't get out, I mean, there's ethics violations to worry about there. But I wouldn't be sad.
I would not be against Alan Jones having to be under severe lockdown. No, I do think it is like, it's so funny because it's like he is the exact kind of old doughy fuck that we're trying to protect by doing all of this. Like, you are the exact person that would be protected by all of us doing social... Like, if I get the disease, I'm probably going to be fine. But I'm not some 70-something-year-old, fat, old, white dude like you who would more than likely have either serious health outcomes or potentially die of this disease. We're doing it to protect you, Alan, of all people. Like, it's not like he's saying, like, oh, like us youngins can go out and like I don't know.
And
He seems
the other
keen
part
to
of
go
it,
out and get coronavirus, and I'm inclined to let him.
Yeah, it sounds like it. The part that like drives me nuts is he talks about one, like those first set of quotes. I mean, like he obviously says later on, like I'm quoting the health minister or whatever. But that first little bit, he's always like, I have read like medical
stuff, trust
medical stuff.
Very
quote blah blah blah. I'm like, what are you quoting for a start? Like, because you haven't said what you're quoting. But then also
quoted
the
health
quote,
minister. That's not medical materials. Like,
yeah, but the quote, like in that quoting, is the sense that it's saying like, oh, masks help reduce the risk of transmission or infection, but people don't use them correctly. They do da 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 da. So I was like, oh, cool, all right, so let's just not then, rather than teach people how to use them, like provide that information, use that knowledge as power, as it were, and tell people how to wear masks properly. Let's not inform people. Too hard. Put that in the too hard basket.
It's a classic conservative tactic where it's like, oh, one thing of this isn't being implemented correctly, then the whole thing is gone. And it's just like, no, rather than, for example, saying that masks aren't being worn correctly. Okay, let's have a public information campaign. Let's make sure that masks are being worn correctly. Let's give out a bunch of free masks to make sure that people have access to them. Like, just because the system doesn't work perfectly doesn't give you an excuse to do away with the entire system. That, to me, suggests an argument of let's have better mask usage. Let's have better information, better health systems. Like, let's fix the system to make sure that the masks are being used properly and that they are effective, not let's just do away with masks because like 5% of them aren't being worn correctly. Like, it's just ass backwards logic.
It gets better.
Quote. I did my own poll at the weekend. I asked very intelligent people wherever I went if they could remember swine flu.
Very
intelligent. In 2009. I've said this before. No one said yes. But there were 38,000 cases, 191 deaths, no lockdowns, no political lectures. Yet here we are with 11,802 cases and 122 deaths. In Victoria, 0.08% of the population have tested positive. 0.0005% have died.
Okay,
stop.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, just when he brings up that, like, of anyone who remembers swine flu. One, I remember swine flu. Like, I remember that it happened. Like, what, seriously? All those people were like, oh? But then on top of that, saying, like, well, there were 38,000 cases and 138 or 191, sorry, deaths. And then 198 deaths. And then saying, oh, well, now we have 11,000 cases and 112. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, so nearly as many deaths with like a third or like half the amount of cases. Sounds worse.
Also, this is with the benefit of the largest lockdown in human history to prevent the spread of the disease, which we didn't have last time with swine flu. We've gone through economy-crashing lengths in order to limit the spread of this disease, and it's still infected thousands of people and caused over 100 deaths. Like, we didn't do that with swine flu.
Yeah.
And we got, it's just like, it's maddening because it's impossible to prove the negative. You can't turn around and go, well, if we didn't do all of these lockdowns, if we didn't have all of this, we'd have 600,000 infections and thousands of people dead. But because we haven't got those numbers, then you go, it's the same numbers as the flu. It's the same thing.
The other thing to consider as well is
Fuck you old white lumpy piece of shit. In your fucking studio somewhere with some prick writing your fucking thoughts for you. You polled a bunch of real smart people. Well, they can't be that fucking smart because they never heard of the fucking swine flu, Alan, because they must be morons.
Just the other thing to note is that comparing swine flu with this latest version of coronavirus you're kind of comparing like different things. The incubation period for swine flu was much less than it is for this. So your quarantine measures and the things you're doing to prevent it are going to be completely different. You're going to have a different strategy, right, for a different virus.
Oh, it's totally weird. I compared these apples with these oranges, and it turns out they're not the same fucking thing. It's a government conspiracy, Adam.
Let's play the rest of it so we can
oh my Christ, I can't handle it. It's upsetting.
As at today, 7.1 million people around the world have died so far this year from communicable disease, 4.5 million from cancer, 2.7 million from smoking. Gladys Berejiklian tells us that New South Wales is on high alert. There are 2 people in hospital and 2 in intensive care. This is not about you and me. The Victorian Premier is fighting for his political life. Andrews is about himself. He knows his number's up. This is the man who allowed 10,000 anarchists to march in central Melbourne. He didn't act on a virus outbreak at Cedar Meatworks because the owners were Labor mates. He allowed unions to run the hotel quarantine.
10,000 anarchists. He's talking about you, Tom, by the way, who marched in the Black Lives Matter protest. Are you an anarchist?
No, actually, I wasn't at the protest. I'm sorry, because that was when a relative became more of an at-risk for COVID. So
He wanted to go.
Just out of that. I wanted to go. But also, there's been numerous proof that the outbreak had nothing to do with that protest. So you're an idiot, Alan. What about the anarchists who are sprouting the kind of bullshit you're sprouting? What about them, Alan? What about that ragtag group of fuckwits?
Oh my God! Oh, this fucking guy.
Quarantining. He used public funds to run the last Labor election campaign.
No.
And when Health Minister in 2009, the Auditor General found that hospital waiting lists had been falsified. Instead of having the decency to resign, he hides behind a judicial inquiry. Only a mad person would believe a lockdown will wipe out the virus. The same lockdown, according to the Federal Treasurer, is costing the economy $1 billion a week. And if New South Wales goes into shutdown, another $1.4 billion a week. These so-called political leaders are stealing our freedoms from under our very noses on the false premise that they're looking after us. Now, of course, the outbreak needs to be controlled, but you shouldn't be allowed to.
And how do you propose
But
that
how
we
do you
that,
control
Alan,
it then, you dipshit?
if we don't have lockdowns or mask wearing? You absolute fat fuck knuckle. How do we do? How do you think that's going to happen,
What are we supposed
bro?
to do? What are we supposed to do? Sit the virus down and go, look, you fuckstick. Maybe just back off, okay? Just back off. Like, could you just settle the fuck down? If, on Thursdays and Sundays, you're allowed to come out and play. That's the way you control the virus, apparently. You ask it nicely.
And I love how he just slips in a bunch of, unverified things about Dan Andrews being a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And, obviously that's related. It's got nothing to do with...
Fighting for his political life, George.
Yeah.
Pretty sure his approval ratings are actually pretty good. The vast majority of people actually approve of the measures that we're taking to combat coronavirus. And yes, it's a crisis.
Because of something.
Yes, it's bad, and yes, businesses will suffer. But if thousands of people die, that will make it worse. It's not going to make it better if we open everything up. It's not just going to magically solve all the problems. It will make it worse because thousands of people will be dead as a result. It'll be an economic crisis and also a humanitarian crisis because we've let thousands of people die for no reason.
Yep.
Play the rest of it and we'll wrap it up.
To defend a flawed strategy to control a virus by prospering alarmism, hysteria and fear. I'm telling you something. While you are my witness, good, hard-working and ambitious Australians are being shafted.
Yeah,
so the reason why that's obviously dangerous is because people are buying into it. And I've got, as I said, there's the lady we just looked at before. She's one of them. The second thing that I've noticed is there are people that I know and that I've worked with and that I'm, have friends that are reciting this shit verbatim, that they believe this is a government conspiracy of some kind to exert control. And it's that kind of thinking which it's so dangerous for Alan Jones to be saying that stuff. All jokes aside, that is probably the most dangerous shit I've heard broadcast on a public broadcaster. Well, not public in the sense it's owned by the public, but at least that they broadcast publicly
with a
since this pandemic began. And it's the fact that he's able to get away with that and not be sued for whatever. I don't know if you can actually sue him for anything. That's the thing. The fact he's able to get away with it it's astonishing.
Is there anything more irresponsible than publicly using your platform to publicly promote misinformation in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know how that is substantively different to murder. If you cause people to act in a way which results in the death of people, that is similar to me to inciting people to violence. I do not understand the difference.
I mean, Alan Jones is probably based in, what's he based in Sydney, isn't he? Alan Jones?
Sydney, I think.
So for him, he's removed from the
doesn't
situation.
Doesn't even fucking affect you, dude. Why the fuck do you care? I love that these guys who have made a decades-long career out of saying whatever dumb shit pops into their fucking heads have also been this entire time decrying their lack of free speech. Oh, they're shutting free speech down. You can't even say anything, even though I've made an entire fucking decades-long career saying exactly what I want. There've been no repercussions whatsoever. If anything, it's made me immensely wealthy. Like, what are you complaining about, dude? Everything's going exactly the way you fucking want it to. Like,
And he's obviously just trying to score political points as well. You know, putting it back on Dan Andrews. It's a attack on. It's trying to use the situation to attack Labor.
The problem is that it works.
As well.
It works. Misinformation works. Like, it will bend people against Dan Andrews. There's no evidentiary basis for anything that he said. He's not required to provide any. There's no penalties for being wrong because he's not publicly elected. Like, he just gets to spout shit, make a bunch of money off it, and let everyone else pay the price for it. Like, it's morally totally fucking reprehensible. Like,
I don't know. I seriously think, like, he obviously hasn't got anyone that he cares about that's affected by it, so he doesn't have to think about the ramifications of what if they get the virus.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ironic because it's
he
like
honestly
someone
doesn't believe it's a problem.
I just feel
he
like
honestly
he's so
doesn't believe
confident
that it's a virus or that it is as lethal as it is and all that sort of stuff.
To which I say, Alan, if you believe that everything's going to be okay, how about you go down and expose yourself to it and prove everyone wrong?
Off you go, mate.
Yeah,
off you go.
Yeah, go for it. You want to breach all the restrictions? Breach them.
If you think masks don't do anything, the next time you're in for surgery, insist that your surgeon doesn't wear one and that he covers his hands in shit. Insist. If you really believe it, if you genuinely have the courage of your convictions, be like that fucking guy that launched himself up in his homemade satellite so he could see the curvature of the Earth and let natural selection do its worst.
Yeah. Look that guy up. Just don't read till the end.
That's probably a good way to finish it. On that note, we have been unnatural.
Don't read to the end. Yes. Hopefully you didn't make it this far. We have been, and we always will be, Unnatural Selection.
Thanks for listening, guys. I know it wasn't really as much of a new show as it was just us criticizing dumb people in video clips, but yeah, there we are. Make sure you follow us on all social media that have, do, or ever will exist at Unnatural Show. That's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and motherfucking TikTok. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at George Tsipos.
You can follow me on Twitter at Tom D. Heath.
You can follow me on Instagram at AC Doreen.
And make sure you can follow us down to Alan Jones' broadcasting studio where we could give him a piece of our minds.
Give him a little bit of coronavirus, perhaps.
We can all breathe on him. If it's really not a big deal, we can all 10,000 of us anarchists can go and breathe on Alan Jones and just see what happens. And he can be the guinea pig for his, conservative revolution. He can be the first one in the door, man. Thanks for listening, guys. I love your faces. We'll see you next week.